What's going on there, everybody? Welcome back to the farm. So today we got a little bit different of a video going on. Today I am going to be doing an update / review on the deep bedding system that I did out in my chicken coop. So it's been about 15, almost 16 months since my first set of birds moved out there last year, and I have not had to replace the bedding yet. To be honest, I'm not really sure that I even need to replace the bedding now, but it was on sale and I bought the bales maybe like a month ago, and I'm sick of them taking up room in my barn. So today, the hottest day of the year so far, I am going to go ahead and climb up in the coop and replace the bedding inside of the coop, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this deep litter system that I used. All right, first thing we need to do, check, make sure nobody's home. Run around real quick here and shut the door. All right, so we've got the door shut, so we're completely isolated in here. None of the birds are going to be able to get up into here. Now, your number one enemy inside of your coop is moisture. You cannot have moisture. So the two ways that you prevent the moisture, because moisture, one, it'll cause mold, which you don't want mold starting. And the other thing is, especially when it's colder out, that's what's going to cause your birds to chill. And you don't want your birds to be chilled either. So your two big things you can do to fight that, first is your bedding, and the second is all your ventilation. So ventilation-wise, we have that's basically like an attic vent that we used on this side and also on this side. And then we also have the windows up high, and then we're also open at the eave all the way across going over here. So that's where our good ventilation, our constant ventilation, comes from. And then there's also the doors that we made, the doors inside of a door. Excuse my bad cameraing for a second. The doors inside of the doors that we built for when it's nice out, we can open those up and really get good ventilation going. So I was going to say, as you can see, well, you can see, but as you can smell, you can't smell it. This does not have very much odor to it. No, it doesn't smell completely pleasant, but it does not have a lot of odor, and that's because of the deep bedding. I mean, you can see how much excrement, we'll call it. You can see how much bird poop there is in here. So because it stays dry and well ventilated, you do not get a lot of smell. Like I said, this is 16 months of bird poop in here. That's probably, 13 months with 10 birds, and now 2.5, almost 3 months with 25 birds going on in here. And chickens do most of their pooping while they're sleeping. That's something that I was very surprised to find out when I was doing all of my research when I was first starting to get into this stuff, is when they're up on the roosting bars, that's when chickens do about 70 to 75% of their pooping. So most of it, the action happens in here and not out in the runs. Now, another feature we took from the good folks at Carolina Coops is this clean out door. And we built this over a year ago, and I haven't gotten to use it yet, so I'm really kind of excited to be able to give it a try for the first time today. So this opens flat. I'm going to be able to pull the tractor right up here, hopefully put the bucket right here, and just start scooping right out into the bucket, and then we'll go straight over to the compost pile. Admittedly, this may be a little bit overkill, but you probably want to use some kind of PPE when you're doing this, because there's not very much good stuff in bird poop, especially fresh bird poop. That's pretty heavy. Shockingly heavy. There's a lot of material in here. Yeah, maybe the rake will be better. Now, I did notice there was some moisture right here at the edge, but that kind of makes sense because there have been times where I haven't gotten this window shut when it rains, so if any water has been getting in, it would be right here at this door, at these windows. So it kind of makes sense that there would be some moisture. It was kind of deep down in here because it never really dried out. But as I'm getting further in, I do not see a lick of moisture inside the pine bedding. So as you can see, as we get in here further, there is no moisture at all. None. I mean, this stuff is just dry, which is what you want. If you were wondering if waiting for a 95-degree day was stupid, it was. It was. Now, kind of surprisingly, this bedding over here that wasn't under the roosting bars, it's here under the nesting boxes, it's really clean still. So that tells me I probably could have just stirred the stuff around in here and not necessarily replaced it yet. But like I said, I bought that stuff already. It's in my way in the barn, so we're already this deep. We're just gonna go ahead and finish out doing it. But this stuff looks surprisingly good over here. I'm really shocked at this point. Found an egg. How long do you think this bad boy's been in here? Well, we got basically everything all swept out, at least close enough as I'm gonna mess around with it. And I think you can tell that, you know, here out by the door was really the only spot that there was any kind of moisture, judging by the stain that's here on the ground. And that's all just dust and stuff that's up in there. But like I said, I'm pretty sure that this is all just from rain coming through the little ventilation window, and it just got the bedding wet and just kind of stayed moist up under there. And I mean, it's not moist to the touch, but I think it just has kind of stained it right there where I had painted it white. Now as replacement, we have 4 and a partial, so we'll call it 4.5 bales of the regular old medium flake pine shavings. If I remember right, these were a little bit less than $5 a piece, so we got about 20 bucks going into the coop for the bedding. And like I said, it's been 16 months since I did it the first time. So I would tell you, if you only have about 10 birds, you probably could pretty easily stretch this to 18 months, if not 2 years, before you got to change your bedding out inside your coop. Now, that, like I said, that was 4 bales, and my coop is 6 by 8. So if you had a smaller coop, you probably, you know, it built up on the surface faster. You probably would have to stir it up more often because, like, your surface area is a little bit smaller. I know my coop is a little bit larger surface area wise with the 6 by 8. It seems like a lot of people do kind of more like a standard 4 by 8, so it's dimensional for sheets of plywood and stuff. But I don't know, just play around with it. So all the old bedding is removed and taken over to the compost pile over there, mixed it in a little bit. That's going to do its thing for the rest of the summer and all fall, and next spring all the bad stuff will be out of it, and it will have, by then it'll have had all sorts of other stuff added to it, and it will be good rich compost for me to use in the garden stuff next spring. So all of that went over there. We got the new bedding put inside the coop. Again, everything is all fluffed up right now, so it's a little bit deeper than what it's going to end up being once it's settled. Right now, we're probably more like 12 to 14 inches. It seemed like most of what I just pulled out, it had all kind of settled down to a little more about 8 to 10 inches. So in summation, I would tell you, now I don't have, I've never done it the other way. I've never done a shallow bedding system to be able to compare this to, but I would tell you, in my humble opinion, the deep bedding is definitely the way to go. Even with 25 birds, I think that I'll easily be able to go a year again before I have to replace it. So just to reiterate, your biggest enemy inside of your coop is moisture. There's 2 ways to fight it: your bedding and your ventilation. So make sure you got good ventilation when you build it. You probably can't have too much ventilation. And then this deep bedding, I would tell you it's the way to go. There was not any moisture issues, have not had any moisture issues in over a year since I first put it in. It's a little bit more of an expenditure, but I mean, you're talking $20 versus $10. So yeah, it's double, but hopefully that's not what's going to make or break you. And it's probably, to me, overall, it's what's going to be better for your birds in the long run. So what do y'all think? Do you guys use deep bedding inside your coops? Do you use pine shaving? Let me know what you use. Let me know how you use it. Always looking for new ideas, new ways to do things. Now, granted, it'll be a year before I might get to try a new idea, because I'm not going to be messing around with that again anytime soon, because that was hot and disgusting. But let me know what you guys think. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that little video, that little review on how my deep bedding system worked out for me. Again, 10 out of 10, would recommend. If you enjoy the video, think about hitting that thumbs up button. If you enjoy this kind of content, think about subscribing to the channel. Got loads of chicken stuff, got some cool maple syrup stuff. I'm always building something, I'm always doing something. So go ahead and check out some of the other videos. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, y'all, we'll see you. Hey there, bud.